Well, hi there and welcome back to Basic Training Class 2. You've made a great start, so let's just keep on going. In this class, we're going to learn all about inflammation. So let's start right where we left off by looking at this diagram from the last class. Here we learned that metabolic damage is at the root of our pack of interrelated health problems. What do you suppose is an underlying characteristic of metabolic damage? I'll give you a hint. What's the name of this class? That's it. You've no doubt heard of inflammation, but what does it mean exactly? It's a critical point, so let's find out. First, you might be surprised to know that not all inflammation is bad. There are two types of inflammation, acute and chronic. Acute inflammation occurs when your body identifies an intruder and sets out to capture and kill it, or when you injure yourself. Acute inflammation is a temporary condition, and we've all experienced it many times. If you've ever burned or cut yourself, if you've ever twisted your ankle, or if you've ever had the flu, and who hasn't? We've all experienced acute inflammation. Swelling, redness, fever. It's very plain to see. This is the good inflammation. This is the healing inflammation. But just because it's good doesn't mean it feels good. As we've all experienced, healing can be painful. A twisted ankle becomes swollen and bruised. This is part of the healing process. When you have the flu, all those aches and pains and chills and runny nose and stuffy nose and coughing, those are all signs that your body is fighting the intruders. In other words, they're signs of healing. Mucus is a healing agent. When you've got mucus, you know your body is fighting something. So it may feel ghastly, but it's really, really good. However, it's not the same story for chronic inflammation, which is when your body is in a constant state of inflammation. When you have metabolic damage, you have some degree of chronic inflammation. This type of inflammation is extremely hard on the body, extremely stressful, extremely aging. Yes, chronic inflammation will make you look older than your years, and who wants that? Now, you can have whole body acute inflammation. As we just discussed, when you're sick with the flu or some other bug, acute inflammation may manifest as a fever overall. Otherwise, acute inflammation is localized. You cut your finger will be inflamed. You twist your ankle will swell up, and so forth. When you ingest something that your body identifies as a toxin, that is, a foreign invader, it's your body's job to catch it in the small intestine, that is, in your gut. When your body is healthy, this is where non-injury-based inflammation starts and ends. So let's talk about the gut so we know what's going on down there. It's really pretty fascinating. The word gut is actually a clinical term for the small and large intestines. Here, when I talk about the gut, I'll be talking about the small intestine. That's our focus for the moment. I call the gut your body's guard dog because it's responsible for absorbing nutrients and expelling waste from the body. That is, when it functions properly, it lets the good stuff in and keeps the bad stuff out. Here's a fun fact about the gut, which I think is a testament to how incredibly powerful our bodies are. The gut renews itself every 3 to 4 days. Think about that. On Thursday, you have a completely different gut from the one you had on Monday. You know what else this means? The gut is very responsive to healing. If you have a lot of digestive issues, and in my experience, most people do, even though they don't talk about them, when you start changing what you eat, your gut will respond quickly. Here's another fun fact. When laid flat, your gut would cover the area of a tennis court. Wow! And it's all tucked inside of us, so neat and tidy. That's amazing. And here's an interesting notion. What's in your gut is actually outside your body. I know this sounds strange, but I'm going to show you this in a minute. A healthy gut identifies and neutralizes foreign invaders, that is, toxins, so they don't get absorbed through the intestinal lining. That is, so they don't get inside your body. For this reason, 70% of your immune system is right in your gut. That's right, 70% right in your gut. A damaged gut will have a hard time catching and killing toxins, and it develops holes in it through which these toxins will slip into your body. And this will cause chronic inflammation over time. So let's take a closer look. I just introduced what may sound like a bizarre idea. What's in your gut is actually outside your body. You may be saying, what? Well, take a look at this diagram and you can see that from mouth to anus, that is from start to finish, You've really just got a long tube running through you. This tube makes a lot of twists and turns, but if you were to pull it taut, it would be a long tube. A very long tube, typically between 25 and 35 feet long. Imagine that. So let's start at the beginning. You eat some food and immediately your saliva starts breaking it down. Then you swallow it and it goes to your stomach where hydrochloric acid breaks it down further into a pasty mixture called chyme. When the chyme hits your gut, it gets digested with the help of enzymes and bile from your pancreas, liver, and gallbladder, meaning it gets broken down even further before it's absorbed. What your body doesn't want doesn't get absorbed, and in a healthy body continues on its way to the colon where some final nutrients and water may get absorbed, but at this point it's now on its way out of the body. That means it never got into the body. You see how perfectly what you ate moved through this wondrous tube? It's kind of like a subway. One long tube and many stations, and each station has a specific task. Ta-da! Now let's go a step further and take a look inside the gut. I'm going to start drilling down on these next few slides, but don't worry, you don't have to memorize anything. I really just want you to come away with a general understanding of how a high-functioning body works and how metabolic damage happens when your body isn't high-functioning. So here we are inside the gut, which is outside the body, and you can see other things inside the body, such as the bloodstream and organs that work with the gut, such as the pancreas, the gallbladder, and the liver. The gut is lined with these little finger-like things called villi. The villi form the protective border between what's in your gut and what's inside your body. So the chyme comes in from the stomach, and the gut is going to start breaking it down with the help of your pancreas, liver, and your gallbladder. The carbs are broken down into simple sugars. The protein is broken down into amino acids, and the fats are broken down into fatty acids. Then all of these raw materials, along with the nutrients they contain, get absorbed through the villi and make their way to the liver, where they get processed and delivered to your cells. In a healthy gut, very few toxins in the chyme will make it through the villi and will continue on their way to be expelled from the body. Now let's talk about your immune system, since I just told you that 70% of it is right in your gut. I'm going to give you a very simple version of how this works. And again, you don't have to take notes or memorize this. Just appreciate the intricate interplay of many different components all working as a team to identify and keep intruders out of your body. The clinical term for what we're talking about is GALT, which stands for gut-associated lymphoid tissue. So your body's going to halt intruders with GALT. Let's see how this works. Again, we're inside the gut, outside the body. The lumen, mucosa, and intestinal lining are all layers in the intestinal wall underneath the villi. Remember the things that look like little fingers. Say your gut has just processed some chyme, and these little things called M cells detect some antigens, which is the technical term for foreign invaders or toxins. From there, two things happen. First, this triggers an immune response where antibodies alert cytokines of the invasion, which start the inflammatory process. Simultaneously, the M cells carry the intruders to the intestinal lining, where Peyer's patches alert B and T cells, which carry the intruders to the mucosa, where they hand them off to the macrophages, which carry them out of the body. That is, this whole GALT process ensures that these intruders don't get absorbed and gain entrance into the body. Isn't it amazing how so many components work together as a team to keep us healthy? So it makes sense that when your gut is impaired, your immune system is going to be impaired and intruders can break into the body. So here we are again, inside the gut and outside the body, and the gut has digested the food, or the chyme, meaning it's broken it down into its various components. Broadly speaking, these components are going to be one of two things. They're going to be either nutrients, which we want to get absorbed, or toxins, which we don't. Notice the villi have little holes in them, which is extremely common when your gut is impaired. What happens in this case is that the nutrients will be absorbed through the villi, as they should be, but because your gut is impaired, foreign invaders can now slip into the body through the holes in the villi. This is called leaky gut syndrome, and again, it's extremely common. Both the nutrients and the toxins go to the liver, which is in charge of processing the nutrients and delivering them to the cells in your body. But you certainly don't want the toxins delivered to the cells in your body. So now the liver has to do what the gut didn't. That is, process and eliminate these intruders. So let's talk about your liver. Are you getting the idea that the liver and the gut work very closely together? You would be correct. I call the liver the cleanup guy because, as you can tell from the last slide, it deals with what your gut doesn't keep out. The liver is a truly mind-boggling organ. It weighs about 4 pounds and performs more than 600 functions. That's awesome! It processes all food, nutrients, and toxins that enter the body and sends neutralized toxins to the kidneys or colon for elimination. A liver that's overloaded with processing toxins will eventually not be able to keep up, and it will start to store toxins. Over time, those toxins make us sick. Let's take a closer look. When your gut is working at optimal efficiency, your liver is too. Here we are again, inside the gut, outside the body. And here we have a very healthy villi population. You see, no holes. Someone with a healthy gut like this eats very well. So what they eat will be very high in nutrients and very low in toxins. The nutrients will get absorbed and go to the liver for processing and distribution. Of the few toxins in the chyme, most won't make it through the villi and will be eliminated as it should be. A tiny amount of toxins may be absorbed, and these will also go to the liver for processing. A healthy liver is perfectly capable of processing and eliminating these toxins by sending them to the kidneys or colon for elimination. That's one of its jobs. And all's well that ends well. But the opposite is also true. That is, when your gut is impaired, your liver function will be too. Look at that sad, sick liver. How capable do you think it can be in doing its job? Here we are again, inside the gut and outside the body, and then inside the body with your liver. You can see that this time our villi population isn't doing well. It's got holes in it because the person with this gut hasn't eaten well in a long time. This person eats a lot of refined food that's low in nutrients and high in toxins. So the few nutrients consumed will go to the liver for processing and distribution, just like before, but there just won't be a lot of them to nourish the body. While a few toxins may get eliminated in the gut, many of the toxins will slip through the holes in the villi and end up in the liver, where the liver now has to process them. Over time, the liver just can't keep up. It's a truly amazing organ, but there's a limit to what it can do when it's overburdened processing high levels of toxins every day for years. So while some toxins may still be eliminated through the kidneys or colon, the liver also starts to store the toxins it can't eliminate in itself and in our fat cells. This spells trouble with a capital T. Stored toxins trigger an immune response. And what is that response? Inflammation, remember? Of course, that's the immune system's job. But now your body's loaded with toxins and you've got whole body inflammation and it's chronic. Your body wasn't meant to be in a continual state of inflammation. This is exhausting for your body. Inflammation is supposed to be an acute, that is, a temporary response. We've now seen how our bodies become toxic, but what's going on behind the scenes? Stored toxins trigger free radical production. You may have heard of free radicals, yet another buzz term that a lot of people have heard of, but very few actually understand. Free radicals are damaged molecules. They've lost an electron, so they go around the body looking to steal an electron from a healthy molecule, and in the process, they turn those healthy molecules into more free radicals. Free radicals occur even in healthy bodies. In fact, we all generate free radicals simply by breathing. Let me demonstrate. There, I just breathed, and in the process, I created some free radicals. Am I worried? No. A healthy body can neutralize free radicals. That's one of its jobs. It's excess free radicals that become a big problem. Toxins in processed foods are huge contributors to excess free radicals, along with other things such as pollution, stress, poor sleep, smoking, excess caffeine and alcohol, drugs, and overexercising. Free radicals lead to oxidation in your body. What is oxidation? I like how Dr. Johnny Bowden, clinical nutritionist and co-author of The Great Cholesterol Myth, puts it. Quote, "If you leave something out in the rain, like a metal, it gets rusted. That's oxidative damage. If you cut an apple and you put it outside in the sun, it gets oxidative damage. It turns brown. It hits every cell, our DNA. It causes mutations, and it basically ages us from within. It's kind of like rusting from within. Oxidation creates an inflammatory response. Of course, it's a toxic state, so what's your body going to do? Kick up the inflammation to try to neutralize it. But now we're talking about chronic, whole-body inflammation, which underlies a damaged metabolism and all of the interrelated symptoms you're experiencing. These symptoms don't appear overnight because this is long-term damage that takes years to occur, and it's the result of long-term toxic lifestyle practices. But the good news is that because the problems associated with chronic inflammation are lifestyle-based, you have the power to reverse them. And remember, your body is a master healer. So as soon as you start giving it the raw materials it needs to heal itself, it will start right in. Okay, now you know how your body responds to what you eat and how metabolic damage and all of its symptoms occur over time. Our next stop is to get clear on what a healthy diet is. Sounds basic, doesn't it? I know, but you would be surprised to know how many people don't have a clue as to what a healthy diet actually is. Do you think you know? You'll find out after the next class. And if you've been a victim of a lot of fad diets in the past, this will never happen to you again. Guaranteed. I've split this class into 2 segments to keep each segment a manageable time limit. So, thanks for joining me. You're doing an awesome job. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you soon for our next class. Cheers!